And welcome to today's Flight School session. We're going to be talking about using digital advertising strategically to grow your community at the end of year in particular, with the goal of creating a larger, more relevant audience to target in the new year. So let's get started. So I'm Isa Hasty. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Feathr, and a big part of my job is to talk to Feathr customers to see how they're using the app, how they're actually using the platform on a day-to-day basis, what kind of campaigns are working, what's not working, what they're planning to do going into the next year. And webinars like this are a great chance for me to kind of bring some of that to you all and share those insights from customers on what they're doing and what's working, with the goal of you being able to actually try out some of those strategies yourself. So today, my goal is to basically present some real life examples that have worked for people end of year. And hopefully that makes it super easy because you can literally just steal these ideas and tweak them and make them work for you. So let's go through the agenda real quick before we dive in. So we'll be sending out the slide deck at the end of the webinar, as always, so look out for that in your inbox. If you have any questions as we go through the presentation, our Associate Director of Product Communications, Chris Hillman, will be manning the chat to answer any questions, so feel free to drop those in there. And today, as I said, we're going to be focusing on how you can use digital ads strategically at the end of year and why digital ads are such an important channel during this time of year specifically. And then I'm going to show you a variety of end of year ad campaigns that customers have run in Feathr. This is going to include some membership drives, some donation drives, some event promo. And the goal, again, is just for you to be able to come away from this with some actionable ways to improve your end of year campaigns, ones that you might be running already, ones that you might want to try out after hearing some new ideas. So let's start this off with a quick question just to get a bit of a breakdown of the room and see what people are focused on right now. So just drop an answer in the chat. What type of end of year campaign or campaigns are you currently running or planning to run? Also, maybe you ran a Giving Tuesday campaign, which obviously happened yesterday, so feel free to drop that in the chat as well. You might be on here to kind of get some tips on how other people ran their Giving Tuesday campaigns to help, inform some upcoming campaigns that you have for end of year. Donation drives could include, a toy drive, a food drive, anything like that. You might have some membership goals that you're trying to hit before January. You might have a holiday event coming up or even an event early next year. Okay, lots of donation drives, pretty categorically, that's the focus. Cool. And I'm assuming a lot of people on here did Giving Tuesday marketing campaigns as well. A and B, okay, cool. All right, so we're charity heavy, donation drive heavy today. Cool, that's great. We've got some really good examples of successful donation campaigns, so that'll be great. Feel free to keep dropping answers in the chat there. So let's talk about why digital ads are critical at end of year in particular. So obviously you don't need me to tell you that the end of year is a great time to promote your cause or your mission, right? Across all of the channels that you normally use and more. So you probably have something big that you're promoting. Maybe this is a donation drive, as many of you just said, or a membership drive. And the holidays are just the perfect excuse to reach out to people about your cause and get them excited. So people are in the spirit of the holidays. They might be feeling more generous. So that's, applicable to these donation-based organizations, or for member-based orgs. People might be more aware of upcoming dates, deadlines. They might have kind of a clearer view of like their budget this year going into next year. So if you're trying to bring in some renewals or some new signups, that can be really helpful to target people sort of at the end of the year. So all around, it's just a time when a lot of people are going to be more receptive to your message. But the caveat there is that they'll be receptive to it if they see it. So this is the hard part. Because people are so primed to see marketing and advertising at the end of the year, every single company, every single organization is promoting something, right? So retail companies, other nonprofits, other associations, you're essentially in competition with literally everybody more than any other time of the year. And we're all on the receiving end of this as well. So we can all attest to how crazy our inboxes get during the holidays and how much marketing we're seeing. So it's a really noisy time. But this just means that you have to be thinking more strategically than ever about how you can show up for the specific people that you want to reach in the places that they'll be most likely to notice you. Um, so, of course, you're going to be doing some email marketing around the holidays, and we encourage that. But the inbox might not be the place that you stand out. People are getting so many emails at the end of the year. A lot of us just kind of tune it out after a certain point. And even for the people who do stay engaged with email through December, they still might not notice you over all of the other people that are filling up their inbox, right? There's a lot of special offers, there's a lot of catchy subject lines. And on top of all of this, the holidays are just a busy time in general, and people are pulled in different directions. They have less bandwidth. And so it's lucky when you can even get a few seconds of someone's attention. So, what is the solution? So, targeted ads. This is one of the best ways to get through to people during this time of year because it means they'll see you even if they aren't checking their emails, right? So, with the right digital advertising strategy, your ads are going to show up on the websites and on the social media sites where your people are already scrolling. So even if they're not checking email, they will see you. Maybe that's on Facebook, maybe that's, looking up a holiday cocktail recipe for a party or shopping online for gifts. But basically, wherever they are, they will see your ads there. And then, of course, you can support this with an email marketing strategy, but digital advertising just allows you to get your message, your offer, your ask in front of thousands of new relevant eyes. And in a way that will just cut through the noise. So, and then I want to also say, don't let Giving Tuesday be the last time that somebody hears from you. So I'm using Giving Tuesday as an example here because obviously, as we saw from the question before, there's a lot of charities in the chat. So I'm sure a lot of you worked hard to bring web traffic to your site in the last few weeks for Giving Tuesday. But for any member-based organizations or anyone who's trying to promote an event, this concept applies to everyone. So basically, the idea is that your web traffic is gold, and you have to be reaching those people in consistent, personalized ways. So like you want to keep reaching the people who've come to your site. Like, don't let people who've engaged with you in any way slip away. So if they've visited your event page, if they've checked out your membership page or clicked on an ad, engaged with your emails, you want to stay on their radar. So not all of them are going to turn into long-term members or donors, but some of them will. It's a numbers game. And it's basically your job to stay in front of the people who have come to your site to try to get them, to nurture them to become those loyal members of your community. And so Giving Tuesday is the example I'm using just because it just happened and it's a big one, but this applies to everyone. And so I also want to note that for Feathr users, Giving Tuesday just happened yesterday. So if you participated in this and ran campaigns, this is an amazing chance to turn all of that new web traffic that you got into members of your community. So even if they didn't donate yesterday, they came to your site and now you can retarget them and get them to engage with maybe like another end of year campaign you have coming up, or simply become a member of your community, that will last into next year and support you long term. And then for those of you on the call who aren't using Feathr yet, this is a time of year where you probably are doing a lot to drive that web traffic. And so you likely have some big program or an event or something that you're pushing. And retargeting campaigns are critical for bringing those one-time visitors back again. So the sooner you can get the Feathr tracking pixel set up on your site, if you're interested in that, the sooner you can start recapturing those visitors who are coming to your site as a result of whatever marketing you're doing, whatever campaigns you're running. And then obviously, once you start using Feathr, you'll have access to all of these other new expansion campaign types like geofencing, affinity. We'll get into a lot of that more, but they really help you grow your total reachable audience so that you can head into the next year with a bigger community. So yeah, and then before we get into the campaign examples, I just wanted to give a quick refresher on flights for anyone who hasn't heard of flights or doesn't remember how they work. I just wanted to kind of talk through how this is a great way to structure multiple ad campaigns into something really strategic and easy for you to manage at the end of the year. So a flight in Feathr is basically a group of campaigns that work toward a specific goal. So this can be like, getting donations, getting member signups, and they offer kind of a wider angle to visualize all of the steps that your audience takes as they're moving through their journey with you. And it just makes it more intuitive for you as the marketer to kind of see how all these how all of these campaigns are kind of impacting your higher level goals and how they feed into each other. So if you do use Feathr already, this is all the kind of campaigns and channels that you're already used to using. They're just grouped in a way that is more intuitive and makes planning easier. And a lot of you might already be using Flights. If you are, great. If not, check it out. It's just an easier way to set up your campaigns. And we also have some out-of-the-box templates based on common use cases we've seen for nonprofits and associations, and they're super easy to use. So, and then just to kind of explain how a flight works and how it makes things automated and easier for you, let's think about end-of-year donations as a quick example. So if a person visits your website as a result of, a geofencing campaign or an affinity campaign that you ran to raise awareness about your donation drive, for example, that person is now in what we call your reachable audience. And so further along in that flight, you might have a couple of retargeting campaigns, that serve ads to anyone who's visited your donate page or your home page in the last however many days, maybe 120 days, 60 days, whatever. And that means that that new person who you didn't even know, right, a few days ago, is now in that reachable audience, and they can now be funneled into one of those retargeting ads to bring them back to your site. And then if they click on that, great, they now have been to your site and you can bring them back. And if you are able to get them to donate on that first time, then you have their email address, so you can include them in any future email campaigns. And if they click back through to your site but don't make a donation, again, you can hit them with a cart abandonment retargeting campaign to get them to kind of really come back and complete that ask. So yeah, and Feathr just has so many campaign types that you can use to grow your audience on the front end of that flight and find new people. So like affinity campaigns, geofencing, email mapping, search keyword, all of these, which we'll get into again in a few minutes. But it's really useful to have things laid out this way because it just kind of gives you a better visualization of how these campaigns are feeding into each other, and how they're kind of automatically funneling people through to the next campaign that applies to them. And we'll see some great examples of end-of-year flights that customers have set up, so you can really kind of see this in action with real campaigns and real numbers instead of just these templates. But yep. Okay, cool. Well, let's now dive into some of these real campaign examples from Feathr customers. So I'm going to start with some end-of-year donation drive examples, and then we'll look at a few membership drive examples. And then at the end, I'm going to show an example of an event promo campaign for an event that's happening in January. So we've got a little bit of everything, but we'll start with donation-based. So I wanted to start off with this example from United Way, because as you'll see in a minute, it's pretty simple, but I think it's really impactful. So we'll see some more robust campaigns too, but I wanted to show you that with a relatively low lift, you can actually run like a simple but really impactful campaign that gets you in front of tens of thousands of new people, relevant people, and then you can retarget those people and bring them back to your site and keep them engaged. So this example that we're going to see is from Giving Tuesday, which obviously happened yesterday, but I want to show it because it includes some retargeting campaigns that are going to continue to run for a few more weeks to capture and bring back a lot of that web traffic that came to the website yesterday and leading up to yesterday as a result of all of those awareness campaigns that this customer ran on the front end of that flight. So, and this comes back to what I was saying earlier about just kind of capitalizing on that web traffic that you get through initiatives like Giving Tuesday. So this example shows how you can continue to reach web visitors with retargeting campaigns that you could set up tomorrow or even next week to kind of get the most out of the efforts that you already put into Giving Tuesday. Plus, a lot of these people who were interested in your Giving Tuesday campaign might be interested in participating in something else that you have coming up in December or January. So this is really the time to kind of get in front of them, solidify your relationship with them, and nurture them to kind of stay with you longer term and keep engaging. So yeah, like I said, I wanted to start with this example because it's, as you can see, very simple, but got some really good results. So this marketing plan had 2 awareness campaigns on the front end here. And so one was a mobile geofencing campaign where they targeted people who were shopping at the Asheville Mall. And then there's an affinity targeting campaign as well, where they targeted people who have an affinity or a high likelihood of shopping at Barnes & Noble. And then this was followed by a retargeting campaign here that targeted all website visitors. And then they got a little more specific and honed in on the people who had been to the donate page and their hands-on Asheville page, which is the volunteer opportunities page specifically. So here's just a quick visual to show the specific area that they, targeted with this campaign and kind of how that map displays in Feathr. And then on the right here, you can see the ads that they showed to people who they were reaching at the mall. And so anyone doing any kind of like early holiday shopping at the mall might have seen these ads. They would be in the potential audience for this campaign, and they might see these ads as they're on one of their mobile device. And then they also ran, as part of the awareness part of this flight, they ran this affinity targeting campaign. So affinity campaigns essentially let you reach net new people who match your ideal audience in some way. So this can be that their search history has terms that are relevant to what you're offering or asking, or maybe they've made purchases in relevant industries. You can also get pretty specific with demographic and behavioral information, so like net worth or past donations, and we'll see a great example of that later on. But if you're looking to get some big donations, you might want to target high net worth individuals and stuff like that. And then in this campaign, the customer simply wanted to reach people who had a high affinity for buying books, since they'd probably be some of the most likely people to have, a bunch of old books laying around that they might be willing to donate. So they seemed like prime for a book donation drive. And then here you can see some of the ads she used in this campaign, which are a little different than the geofencing ones. And, you can use the same ads or mix it up. Obviously, it's ideal to kind of mix up your creatives to keep things fresh and reduce banner blindness. So these are some of those ads from this campaign. And then one of the retargeting campaigns that they ran toward the end was targeting specific page visitors. So she served ads like this one here on the right to people who had visited, like I said, the Hands-on Asheville page, which is their volunteer page, or the donate page. And I believe she included a couple of other pages as well to really capture as many people as possible, as long as they were showing some level of intent by visiting these specific pages. Yeah, and then this one was cool because as I was building out this deck, I kept checking the customer's dashboard because this obviously was, all of these results were coming in yesterday on Giving Tuesday. And so it was just really cool to kind of see those numbers increasing. I saw the reach and the clicks increasing throughout the day. And it's just neat to see in real time how impactful a campaign like this can be, even in a really short time span, like a Giving Tuesday. And then again, these campaigns will continue to bear fruit after Giving Tuesday because they're continuing to serve ads through retargeting campaigns to all those new people who came to the site for Giving Tuesday. So they reached over 16,000 new people with the expansion campaigns, and they got 233 clicks to their site, new clicks. Cool. Now let's look at another end of year donation campaign. This one is from the Second Harvest Food Bank of Southern Wisconsin. So as you can see, this one has a few more campaigns than the previous one, but it's still relatively straightforward. It's a little heavier on the awareness side. And then there's just these 3 campaigns here, these retargeting campaigns. So on the awareness side, they ran an affinity campaign similar to the previous example. They did an email mapping campaign and a geofencing campaign, and also a tracked link campaign to bring in some of the data from some ads they ran directly on Facebook, just to have everything all in one place for more holistic reporting. And then they did here a general messaging retargeting campaign to kind of bring some of those one-time visitors back to the site. And then anyone who hit some high intent pages, which they just clearly defined which pages those were for them, they funneled those people into another retargeting campaign. And then they also had a donation dropout campaign to target people who hit the donate page, but then left without completing their gift. And so, yeah, let's look at a couple of them specifically. So I kind of mentioned this before, but because large gifts can make such a difference in a donation campaign, obviously, the food bank ran an affinity campaign to target this top 10 charitable donor category, which basically pulls data or pulls people who are in the top 10% of capital investors in the United States, or have shown other indicators that they have donated large amounts to charity. And this is based on their previous donation history and behavior. So on the right, you can see some of the ads that they ran in this campaign. And I think these are really just cute ads. They're a great like example if you're looking for some inspo on ad design. I think these look great. And then they ran an email mapping campaign, which is also known as CRM retargeting. And they uploaded a list of about 20,000 email addresses associated with people who had previously made donations to their organization. So they were able to target the people associated with those emails with ads wherever they were scrolling online. So in the same way that a retargeting campaign works or a geofencing campaign where those display ads are showing up where people are, this is how this works, but it operates based on having their email address as opposed to the actual website activity. So yeah, coming back to that issue of the inbox being too full during the holidays, the food bank did have all of these people's email addresses, and they did actually send them some emails. But in addition to that, they knew that with email mapping, they could reach them in a whole different way on a different channel, just from having their email addresses. So running ads like this to sort of supplement that email marketing strategy is really helpful for just surrounding your audience with your message wherever they are. So this was a great campaign. And then for this high donor intent campaign, again, this is people who had been to these specific pages. So they kind of listed out, within the last 120 days, anyone who's been to one of these pages is qualifies as a high intent lead. And then they retargeted them with ads that looked like this one. So yep. And then they had some great results. They had around 109,000 new people, come like see their ads and see their organization who had never seen them before through the expansion campaigns. They had over 3,000 clicks to their site, and they raised $8,500 in donations just from these ad campaigns. So great results there too. Now let's look at this example from the Foundation for Senior Living. This was their 2022-2023 end of year donation drive. So this happened last year. So this customer divided their end of year campaigns into two phases to kind of get a sense of the performance of the initial expansion campaigns, to kind of see, what audience they were bringing in, how that was going. And there were a few engagement campaigns on this first phase. And then they built out another flight, which they called phase 2. And that was kind of heavier on the engagement piece, leveraging all of those new audience members they brought in through phase 1. So yeah, let's go through a couple. So these are some of the ads that they use in these awareness campaigns. So one of these was a search keyword campaign. So this type of campaign lets you serve ads across the web to people who have searched for terms that you consider relevant for your cause or your organization. So unlike Google Ads, if this is coming to mind, if you're thinking of, the sponsored results that show up at the top of a search page, this is different. So when you hear the phrase keyword or keyword search, you might think of Google Ads. This is different. So basically, this is again, the same as those geofencing ads, those retargeting ads, the display ads that show up wherever people are scrolling. These are the type of ads that you can show to people with a search keyword campaign. Feathr lets you reach them with those display ads wherever they are because they've searched for relevant terms. So it's kind of a similar process up front where you're coming up with, the relevant search terms that you want to be targeting. But instead of your organization popping up at the top of just that first Google page, you're going to be showing up everywhere that people are scrolling. And you can obviously combine this with Google ad campaigns. So they're not the same thing, and you can run them in tandem with each other. So it's a whole different channel. And so for this search keyword campaign, they uploaded a list of about 30 keywords that they wanted to target. And then Feathr also, we offer some resources and recommendations for helping make that keyword search, the keyword selection process easier, just to kind of help you figure out what words you want to select, narrow that list down, and kind of what needs to happen before you can even set that campaign up. So we can help you with that. And then this customer also used a geo filter to kind of get even more targeted with their search keyword campaign. So they wanted to reach people who were searching for specific words in a specific region in Arizona. So Feathr lets you include or exclude specific countries or regions or cities in your ad campaigns. And so you can get kind of as specific or as zoomed out as you'd like. And then in addition to the search keyword campaign, they also ran a couple of affinity campaigns targeting high net worth individuals again, as well as people who had donated to caregiver support organizations. So obviously trying to capture people who, have an affinity for donating to similar organizations. And they also ran a bunch of geofencing campaigns targeting a variety of different places. They actually targeted they geofenced the Super Bowl, as well as some shopping centers, some medical centers. So kind of really trying to capture that full spectrum of people who might be interested in the cause. So whether that's capturing people who have an affinity for something based on data about them, or just targeting an area where you think that people who are relevant are going to be, moving around. So people at the Super Bowl might be more receptive to marketing. People at shopping centers might be in the mood to spend money, have money to spend. And then medical centers, people might kind of be with a loved one or in the mood to give to a cause that, supports the elderly or their caregivers. So just thinking strategically about the context of your audience and where you can kind of reach them using these different campaign types. And then, of course, they ran a few retargeting campaigns to recapture those people who hit the donate page but didn't make a donation. So they included everyone who visited the donate page, as you can see here. And then they excluded this segment of people who, so they called it donate button link target, but this is basically anyone who hit the final donate button and hit the page that comes after that. They're excluding those people because obviously they made the donation and they don't want to keep showing ads to those people. So yeah, and then if we look at the actual ads here, you can see that the copy is a little more targeted than in those earlier awareness campaigns. So here it was more learn more, kind of like trying to get them to the website in the first place. And then they just get more specific with the language here to kind of really encourage people to finish what they started and create that sense of urgency. So and then, yeah, the cart abandonment ads, these directly call out the fact that somebody started a donation. And remember that when it's for a good cause, it's okay to guilt people a little bit into, finishing what they started, because it definitely drives up conversion rates to be more direct and actually reference what the person was doing because it feels more personalized. And just drives that urgency. So. Cool. And then they had 21 conversions from this campaign, so not too shabby. Brought 155,000 new people, made 155,000 new people aware of their cause through these awareness campaigns, and they got almost 3,000 new clicks to the website. And these are all people who can now be retargeted long term. So. Okay, now let's get into an example of a membership drive. So this is an ongoing campaign that the American Society of Cataract and Refractive Surgery is running to drive memberships, new membership signups going into 2024. So this is what their flight looks like. They're using a pretty good mix of awareness campaigns, nurturing, and these kind of driving signups, confirming intent campaigns here. Which is a great reminder that you can run all the awareness campaigns you want to get in front of new eyes. But if you don't sort of nurture those people and bring them back, you won't be able to convert them because you'll fall off the radar, even if they are interested in your cause. So you want to stay on the radar through the retargeting and the cart abandonment and all of these things. It's just as important as awareness. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this email mapping campaign that they ran to target lapsed members and people with upcoming renewal dates. So they uploaded a list of around 8,000 email addresses of both lapsed members and current members that had a renewal coming up or a renewal date coming up. So again, with email mapping campaigns, you're serving ads to people as they're browsing the web, just like with those retargeting campaigns, those geofencing campaigns. It's just a display ad campaign. But the benefit is that they don't need to have visited your site recently or ever, technically, to see these ads, because the campaign functions based on the person's email address rather than their website activity. So in this case, most of these people probably have been to the website because they either were a member or they are a member currently. But for some of these former, lapsed members, it might have been a while since they've been to the website. And so this can be a great way to reach people who, aren't necessarily in your tracked reachable audience because they haven't been to your site in a long time. So And then you can see some of these ads, which I think are also pretty nice looking. And then another awareness campaign that they're running is this meta retargeting campaign. So they're actually serving ads on Facebook and Instagram to people who meet specific criteria. In this case, it's people who have been to one of these two pages. So a lot of member-based organizations will offer, free tools or free calculators and things like that. And usually somebody coming to your site and using a tool like that is a pretty good indicator that they are a prospect or a warm lead, right? Interested in joining. And so just like you can retarget those specific web visitors on other sites that they might be browsing, you can also find them on social media and target them with display ads there too. And so the great thing about running your social media campaigns in a platform like Feathr is that you're actually leveraging that website tracking data in those campaigns to ensure you're going straight to your warmest leads on social media. So social media platforms benefit from showing your ads to the wrong people because it means you're spending more money. And so you won't waste as much budget when you are doing it through a platform like Feathr because you're not casting such a wide net, right? You are just going directly to these lists that you select. So you say, hey, I want to target on social media the people who have used these tools on my site. Feathr will tell you, okay, cool, this is what that audience size looks like. And you say, okay, I want to target them on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever. So you are avoiding the people that aren't relevant to you and going straight to those specific lists where they are on social media. So it just gives you more control. And as you can see here, yeah, they targeted these visitors to these specific pages and no one outside of that segment. And so it's just a great way to sort of maximize your ad spend on social, maximize your campaign performance. You get to select the time windows, the URLs, all of that. So this can be a really great campaign type for growing that awareness on social media, which obviously people spend a lot of time on social. So the more places you can reach them, the better. And then here we have another cart abandonment or dropout campaign where they're serving these complete registration ads to people who began that membership process but didn't complete it. And you can see that they're also excluding people who converted after September 1st. And that's obviously when the campaign was launched. So we saw an example before of excluding a segment based on a certain URL. So if they hit the confirmation page or the thanks for donating page, that's an indicator that they donated, they converted. So we want to exclude anyone who's seen that page so they don't continue seeing ads. This is an example of basically so they have a conversion, what we call a conversion pixel set up. And so this can be another method to create exclusions. And so a conversion pixel tracks conversions on your site, however you define them. So that might be something like when a user clicks on a confirm and pay button, like clicking on a button is a classic example. And so if you set up a conversion pixel like this one, you can basically use them to set up exclusions. So in this case, anyone who was registered as becoming a member as of September 1st, because they clicked that button on your site, they get excluded from this campaign. So those are two different ways that you can set up exclusions to make sure you're not showing ads to the wrong people. Both work just fine. Conversion pixels can just be a little more accurate and they can help you track the actual donation amounts and track more data associated with those conversions so that you have better reporting. And then again, this is an ongoing campaign, so these results will continue to come in, over the next few weeks going into the new year. But so far, they've gotten some great web traffic, and they've had 23 new member signups, which is pretty good. And that's $9,500 in new memberships. So yeah. Quick note before I go into the next example. So if you are already a Feathr user and you feel like you could benefit from setting up some end of year campaigns that look like this, please drop a 1 in the chat and we'll connect you with your customer success manager to kind of talk you through this and help you get some campaigns set up. If you're not a Feathr user, but you'd like a more personalized walkthrough of how your organization could run some campaigns like this one, or the ones we've seen, drop a 2 in the chat and we will hook you up with a personalized demo. So Feathr customers drop a 1, non-customers drop a 2. Cool. Let's get into a couple more examples. So this is the YWCA of Asheville in Western North Carolina. We're going to look at the membership drive campaign that they ran at the end of last year. So this chapter of the YWCA was doing a special promo at the end of last year where basically people could avoid the fee to join if they became a member before January 1st. So this is an example, a great example of just creating kind of that urgency around end of year and using the close of the year as a reason to kind of drive people to take action. They ran some awareness campaigns to target relevant prospects in the community, and then they doubled down with a few retargeting campaigns that sort of highlighted the special offer, along with just more details about member benefits in general. Okay, so this awareness campaign, for this affinity campaign, they served ads to people who had a search or purchase history related to other gyms in the area. So gyms like Curves, Anytime Fitness, 24-Hour Fitness, things like that, or people who had a history of searching for terms like CrossFit or other relevant sort of like workout terms. And again, the goal of a campaign like this is just to get in front of people who might be interested in joining and try to get them to click through to your site to learn more. And then you can retarget them with those more personal ads as they continue to engage with you. And then this campaign, this retargeting campaign, targeted people that the YWCA considered highly engaged based on having visited this list of pages. So again, just kind of selecting what you consider to be high intent and targeting people who visited those pages. So this is like their About Us page, their membership page, you know, even their Get Involved, their Donate page, things like that. And because the campaign was more focused on driving conversions, aka new member signups, the ads are a little more explicit around and about the special offer and kind of create that sense of urgency. And so in the first ad, you can see that they're referencing, I kind of love this actually, they're referencing the fact that it's cold out. And so to shake off the winter blues, they're kind of using the context of end of year to drive some contextual urgency in addition to driving the urgency around the actual deadline of January 1st. So yeah, I think overall these ads do a really good job of communicating the information, but also giving kind of real reasons for people to be interested. So again, if you're looking for some inspo for the actual ad copy on your ad creatives, this is another great model for that. And then, yeah, they have had some really good reach with these campaigns. They've reached 16,000 new people with their ads. They've had 44 new member signups, and they had 44 new member signups at the end of last year, and then they ended up coming in $400 under the allocated budget for the whole campaign. So not too bad. And then this is our last example, but I wanted to show something a little bit different here because obviously, you know, there are things that going on at the end of year beyond just donation and membership drive. So you might have an event coming up that you want to promote, whether that's an end of year event or something happening in January. So this is a flight that ASCA set up to drive registrations for an event they have coming up in January. It's their Every Child Counts Symposium. It's happening in mid-January. So they have a geofencing campaign where they actually, we'll look at this on the next slide, where they actually targeted one of their own events earlier this year. And then they also have an email mapping campaign to former attendees and other people whose email addresses they have on file. They ran a few retargeting campaigns from an early bird, you know, special all the way to registration dropout to kind of really nurture people toward those conversions. And the campaigns are really working. They're driving a lot of conversions. The performance so far has been really amazing. So we'll see how these campaigns are actually working for them. So yeah, they geofenced their own leadership summit, which happened, I believe it happened in the fall of this year, to kind of make those attendees at that event aware of this upcoming event that they would probably be interested in attending as well, right? So it's a great time to capture those people's attention. They're already at one of your events. You have another relevant event coming up, so put it on the radar already when they're kind of in that context, right? And then you can see here that they selected this radius of 1,000 meters to keep the campaign pretty concentrated around the convention center where the summit happened. And so you can expand your radius of your geofencing campaigns to up to 30,000 meters, which that can be useful if you're targeting, you know, like a city or parts of a city or a town, like a larger area. But when you're targeting a more contained event, it's best to keep the radius sort of as concentrated around that venue as possible to just spend as many of those ad dollars as you can on targeting people at the event as opposed to people who happen to be around it. So, and then this is one of the ads that they had in this campaign. And then to people who have shown high intent by visiting the event reg page, ASCA is serving these ads that highlight the speaker lineup. So featuring speaker lineups or other like event highlights like happy hours, after parties, things like that can be a really great way to capture people's attention when those more basic ads aren't, getting them to register. And again, those initial ads are really about driving awareness and getting people to your site. So these later campaigns are more about, getting people interested in the details of the event and getting them invested enough to hit that registration button and buy a ticket. And then the results so far for this campaign have been really amazing. They've had a lot of new eyes on their ads. They've sold 37 tickets so far for a total value of $23,400. And the event is still 6 weeks out. So obviously, these ticket sales are going to keep coming in. I'm looking forward to keeping tabs on that because I think these campaigns are going to be super successful. And just like, again, with the other example where the Giving Tuesday example, where I was kind of checking it all day yesterday, I've been keeping tabs on this campaign over the last week. And I think there was a jump here in like $9,000 in just the last week. So again, it's just really cool to kind of see in real time how the campaigns are doing their job. Cool. Well, those are the examples I had and just some closing thoughts. So again, end of year is a time to do more than just email. So we're overloaded, our inboxes are full. You want to be reaching your people in more ways than just the email inbox to kind of really assure that they're going to be seeing your message. And then remember that awareness is key to driving conversions, but don't get discouraged when you're not seeing those conversion numbers on your awareness campaigns. Those campaigns are about views, they're about clicks, they're about awareness, right? Getting eyes on your cause. The conversions come later when you set up those nurture campaigns, those retargeting campaigns to bring people back, to drive real interest and nurture them over time. And then I think the takeaway is just don't let web visitors get away. So if someone came to your site at all, you want to retarget them. Nurturing them in this way could cause them to turn into that lifelong member or donor. So anyone who came to your site for Giving Tuesday but didn't donate, they're not a lost cause. You want to reach out to them. People who have come to your event page but not registered, you want to reach them too. So it's all about, it's a long game, it's a numbers game. So just remember not to get discouraged when you're not seeing the numbers that you want. You have to just kind of continue to nurture people over time through these campaigns. So yeah, that wraps things up. We're ending a little early. You guys might get a little time back in your day.